Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks for the chance has given to me. My name is Friska Widastuti. I would like to present about my research proposal under the title, The Effect of Using Story Pyramid Strategy on Students' Reading Comprehensions in Relation to Learning Style. For the information, I put my laptop in front of me and show my PowerPoint presentation. It makes me easy to read and show the view of my presentations. Well, I have three parts of my research. There are introduction, background, literature review, and research method. Why I choose this title as my research is because I realized that reading is one of the language skills which needs to be mastered by students. The students can improve their knowledge through reading. Because of that, this skill must be appear if the students want to do another skill. The student can write if they didn't have background knowledge. Background knowledge can get by reading. So, this is the important skill to learn. Moreover, Scram 2001 stated that good readers don't take action to solve comprehension problems. They don't endanger the reading goal. Less successful readers, on the other hand, tend to worry about comprehension problems that are not relevant to the pursuit of the reading goal, or they tend to ignore or find easy pseudo solution to comprehension problem that put them at risk of not achieving their reading goal. It means that a good reader is able to find the subject of discussion based on the main points. Also, objective of the reader is clear. Otherwise, a successful reader who is easy to understand the material but the purpose is unreliable or not clear. Many research have conducted research deal with effect of story pyramid strategy, but there is no research which deal with the effect of using story pyramid strategy on reading comprehension in relation to learning style. Related to the student's learning style, the Porter and Herneke 1999 said that learning style is the way in which a person learns and gains knowledge or skill. It's commonly recognized that people learn and process information in very different ways. Problem statement. Based on the background above, the research formulates the question of the research. First, does the use of story pyramid strategy have an effect on the student's reading comprehension? Second, what is the influence of story pyramid strategy on reading comprehension in relation to learning style of the students? Then, the research objective. The first, to find out whether the use of story pyramid strategy has effect on the student's reading comprehension. Second, to find out the influence of story pyramid strategy on learning style. The significance of the research. The outcome of the present research will be beneficial in some reasons. The present research is to find out the effect of using story pyramid strategy on the student's reading comprehension in relation to learning style. For other beneficial, there are first for the teacher. The research can be used to enrich the strategy or method in teaching English. For the students, the story pyramid strategy can help the students to understand narrative text. For the school, this research can be used as reference for the teacher. For the researcher, the research as a basis for further research. Then the literature review. There are 11 parts, but I make it simple for easy to understand. First, definition of reading comprehension. As far as 2004, said that reading comprehension is the process of understanding the message that the author tries to convey. In short, there is an interaction between a reader and author. Snow 2002 said that reading comprehension means understanding, evaluating, and analyzing the information and idea gained through an interaction between readers and authors. Reading comprehension is such a kind of dialogue between an author and reader, in which the written language becomes the medium of communication. It means that with understanding and comprehending material that have been written, the interaction between a reader and author occurs effectively. Then factors influencing reading comprehension. Based on Paris 2014, state 4 foundation of comprehensions. First is conceptual knowledge, language skill, text features, and strategies. Conceptual knowledge. In developing the student comprehension, they need to be familiar with the concept of the text, like the plot and the character of the story. Language skill. The mastery of language skill proves the better comprehension of student learner. It means that the student who at least had mastered one skill, he or she can easily comprehend a text. Text feature in line with the conceptual knowledge. The student need to know how the concept generates, the schematic structure of text, the title, and many terms that relate to the meaning of the text. Strategies. It is undeniable that the student needs a variety of strategies in helping them learning reading comprehension. Then levels of reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is considered to occur at 4 levels of complexity. These levels are often referred to as literal level, inferential level, critical level, and creative level, based on Westwood 2001. Then generic structure of narrative text. First is orientation. It's about the opening paragraph where the character of the story are introduced. Then complication, where the problems in the story develop. And the last, resolution, where the problem in the story is solved. General learning style. Based on Gilageni 2012, there are 3 learning styles. First is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Visual learner think in pictures and learn based in visual image. Auditory, this individual discover information through listening and interpreting information by means of pitch, emphasis, and speed. Kinesthetic, individuals that are kinesthetic learn best with an active hands-on approach. These learners prefer interaction with the physical world. Story pyramid strategy. The definition of story pyramid strategy, according to Ellerdy 2009, the story pyramid is a strategy that will help the student to organize events in story. It will make the student know about the structure of the story. From the first is about the character and then setting, after that the event of problems and that arise in the story, and the last is the solution of problem. The Sputota 2012 state that story pyramid is strategy to ensure that students thoroughly comprehend a variety of different aspects of a story by closely analyzing the main character, setting, event, and solution. In other words, by story pyramid, the student will comprehend a text clearly. The students will analyze the text from the easy one to the difficult one. Then, the procedure of using story pyramid strategy. According to Makan et al. 1991, there are 16 procedures of using story pyramid strategy. First is the researcher tells the students that they are going to discuss about narrative text. Then, second, the researcher explains how to use story pyramid and give a model of this to the student. Third, the researcher delivers a story and a story pyramid worksheet to the student. Then the researcher asks the student to read the story carefully. Next, the student read the story carefully. And then the student read the information request in the worksheet. Then the student begin fill in the story pyramid. First line, the student write the name of main character of the story. Second line, the student write 2 words describing main character. Third line, the students write 3 words describing the setting. Fourth line, the student write 4 words stating the problem. Fifth line, the student write 5 words describing one event. Sixth line, the student write 6 words describing a second event. Seventh line, the students write 7 words describing third event. Eighth line, the student write stating the solution to the problem. After finish, they collect it. The advantage of story pyramid strategy. According to McConnell, the advantage of story pyramid is to help students pinpoint highlights of story and describe important part of using limited number words. So the student will comprehend a text clearly because they will describe and the important part by using the pyramid. This is the conceptual framework. Then the procedure of using story pyramid strategy. According to Makan et al. 1991, there are 16 procedures of using story pyramid strategy. First is the researcher tells the students that they are going to discuss about narrative text. Then second, the researcher explains how to use story pyramid and give a model of this to the student. Third, the researcher delivers a story and a story pyramid worksheet to the student. Then the researcher asks the student to read the story carefully. Next, the student read the story carefully. And then the student read the information request in the worksheet. Then the student begin fill in the story pyramid. First line, the student write the name of main character of the story. Second line, the student write 2 words describing main character. Third line, the students write 3 words describing the setting. Fourth line, the student write 4 words stating the problem. Fifth line, the student write 5 words describing one event. Sixth line, the student write 6 words describing a second event. Seventh line, the students write 7 words describing third event. Eighth line, the student write stating the solution to the problem. After finish, they collect it. The advantage of story pyramid strategy. According to McConnell, the advantage of story pyramid is to help students pinpoint highlights of story and describe important part of using limited number words. So the student will comprehend a text clearly. The important part by using the pyramid. This is the conceptual framework. Well, this is conceptual framework that I have. There are input, process, and output. Then this is chapter 3 about research method. This research will use quantitative approach. The researcher will use pre-experimental design, that is one group pretest and post-test design. Population and sample. Population of this research is all of the students in the 10th grade of senior high school number 12 Sutara, North Lu Regency, South Sulawesi. Sample. Sample of the research will be taken by purposive sampling technique. It means that the researcher chooses the sample based on the characteristic and number of population. The characteristic of sampling are students who are less of reading skill. So the researcher chose one of the 3 classes at the 10th grade of senior high school number 12 Utara as the sample of the research. So the researcher will look at the story pyramid strategy on the student reading comprehension in relation to learning style. Variable of the research. This research consists of 2 variables. They are independent variable and dependent variable. Based on Siegel 2015 that the independent variable, the factor which is measured, manipulated, or selected by experimenter to determine its relationship to an observed phenomenon. The independent variable of this research is used the story pyramid strategy. It refers to story pyramid is strategy that will help the student to organize events in story. It will make the student know about the structure of the story. Dependent variable, the factor which is observed and measured to determine the effect of independent variable. Then the procedure of conducting the research. There are 9 procedure and the data collection method. The researcher teaches reading, then the researcher will give a pre-task to the student in terms of reading the text. It is intended to know the student reading comprehension before treatment. The pre-test gives us practice on the ability of the student. The treatment is carried out around 4 until 6 meetings. In each meeting, the researcher applies story pyramid strategy for helping the student to comprehend the reading text easier. After doing treatment or using story pyramid strategy, the researcher gives post-test will be to know the student reading comprehension test to the student. The researcher applies to test. Those are pre-test and post-test. The procedure of collecting data will be used in this study is a questionnaire method that is adjusted to the data to be collected and the variable in the study. The questionnaire will give the student before the treatment. It does to know the learning style of the student. The questionnaire has purpose to see the relationship between the story pyramid strategy and learning style of student. Finally, besides the result of post-test, the questionnaire also can see and relate with the treatment. Well, then the technique of data analysis. To analyze the data, the researcher will use descriptive and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics is used to describe the basic features of the data in the research, and inferential statistics is used to testing the hypothesis. After gaining data, the data that the researcher gets analysis by using SPSS. In inferential statistics, the researcher will use the formula as follows, scoring students' correct answer of presentation, pretest, and post-test. The questionnaire, Perceptual Learning Style Preference Questionnaire, was developed by Obralik and Akbarov, 2012. The questionnaire consists of 15 items. There are 5 questions for each learning category. In this questionnaire, there are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Beside each question, the answer has numerical value, which are 5 for strongly agree, 4 agree, 3 undecided, 2 disagree, and 1 strongly disagree. They are negligible. Then the researcher used iterator to prove that the content phase construct were suitable with the questionnaire items. Based on the result of validity judgments, the item questionnaires are modified according to the feedback acknowledged by the experts to translate the questionnaire into Indonesian language in order to make the research participant comprehend well. After that, the reviewer will agree if the questionnaire has good content and construct validity. Although there are some statements should be revised, but overall there were no deleted items. It was assumed that the questionnaire test is valid. And this is the technique of data analysis. There are 5 questions for each learning category in this questionnaire. And this questionnaire are grouped below according to each learning style. Each question has a numerical value. We can see this is the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. And this is the category: major learning style preference, minor learning style preference, and negligible. And this is the technique data analysis, score interval, and category for the pre-test and post-test. I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for kind attention. And the last, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.